And week 29 ELA W. And this too is the day before our state exam, so we're going to begin with a little bit of review on how to approach our short response questions. And we're then going to read a poem by a very important author named Emily Dickinson, who wrote in the Victorian era, I think, of England. And it's a poem about hope. So let's start though with our pre-exam review. Number one, let's have somebody read. Thank you, Lodelis. She says, when answering a what question, what word will often be in your answer statement? Everyone take a second to write that down, and now we come back. And so, Fernando, what do you have? Is, very good. Anybody have anything besides is? Are, correct. You can use that in your answer statement also with a what question. Number two, when answering a why question, what words will often be in your answer statement? Raise your hand. Thank you, Haley. She says because, that's very good. She also says in order to, and that is correct. Number three, when answering a how question, what words will often be in your answer statement? If you said by and through, you are correct. Very good. Number four says, what are the hired verbs that we use in our, when do we use those? In the explanation statements. Very good. And the H is for, raise your hand. Go ahead. Who am I thinking of now? Valerie. Highlight. H is for highlight. Good. The I is for Jello. Illustrate. The R is for Fernando again. Reveal. The E is for explain. And the D is for develop or demonstrate. We don't want to say described as much. It's not as rich of a word as to develop or demonstrate. Okay, so let's look at this passage. We're going to read this poem 3 times as we always do, and the first time we will read it together. The second, or I'm going to lead. The second time I'll call on others to read. The third time you will be reading on your own. So, what's the first thing that we should do before we even begin reading? That is number the stanzas and the lines. That way, whenever we want to talk about something that's a part of this poem, we can say, hey, look at stanza 2, line 4, and we'll all be on the same page. So take 60 seconds now to number the stanzas and lines. Great. How many stanzas is this poem? Show us with your hands. If you have 2 fingers up, you're wrong. It's 3. 3 stanzas for this poem, and that was pretty much all of us. How many lines is this poem? 12 is very good. You couldn't show me with your hands, unless you are an anomaly and have 12 fingers. So our author, Emily Dickinson, writes this, and what do you think, just based on the title alone, what would you guess this poem is going to be about? Hope. Very good. And it says hope is the thing with feathers. Maybe you know what that means. I have no idea what that means. I've already read this poem many times. I don't know entirely what that means. But by sort of reading titles and questioning what is this going to be about, you can get a little bit of something. Like, just by looking at the title, what do you think this poem is going to be about? Hope. Very good. It's going to have something to do with feathers, apparently. We'll figure that out. But hope is something that we can all see there and circle as like, this is going to be a subject of the poem. Okay, so let's start with the first stanza. Hope is the thing with feathers that perches in the soul and sings the tune without the words and never stops at all. Okay. We'll stop and annotate here. What is the main idea of this first stanza? Ideas. Hope is in us, and it doesn't stop. Right, it says that perches in the soul. Whose soul? Everyone's soul. Whenever a poet speaks with the sort of like collective language of something does this, he or she is talking about all of us. He's talking about humanity, and that's generally what poets try to do. Is sort of like explore the rules of life, or lack of rules. Next stanza. And sweetest in the gale is heard, and sore must be the storm, that could abash the little bird that kept so many warm. Lots of words need to be explained in this stanza, I think, in order for us to really understand it. So the first line of the second stanza reads, "And sweetest in the gale is heard." What's a gale? It is a woman's name, maybe, but it is a strong wind. So everyone, let's underline that word and draw a little dash in annotation that says a strong wind. Okay. What do you think a strong wind could represent? Adversity, a challenge, something that's difficult to overcome, an obstacle. Okay, so, and sweetest in the gale is heard. So during an obstacle, hope is the sweetest. Interesting. Next line, and sore must be the storm. What does it mean to be, what does the word sore mean? It could mean like muscles, but I think that there's a deeper meaning here. There's a more figurative meaning. Sore must be the storm. Sore generally means like mad or angry. Back at the time that she is writing this in like the year 1880 or something like that. So an angry storm. So the first line of the second stanza we get a gale, fierce wind. The second line we get an angry storm. And what does she say hope does during these tough times? They help. Yeah, we can put that together ourselves, that hope is an important thing, especially in the middle of life's storms. Let's keep reading.